The most important thing today after liturgy is that the children have prepared beautiful songs and some presentation by the teachers for Christmas. We should do this on Christmas Day. Next year we'll do it on Christmas Day because it is about Christmas and there is no reason why we should do it a week before. But the reason sometimes is unreasonable that we do things out of order. It's because most of the time people don't go to church on Christmas anymore. So sometimes putting things in right order, it also becomes a didactic for us so that we do things in the right way. So perhaps I'll suggest the Sunday school next year to do the presentation on Christmas Day. Also, I would like to invite you to the Greek school presentation, which unfortunately will be on Wednesday, upstairs, not in here. So you can also see that because I really am striving and trying really hard to make a connection between the Greek school and the community. Sometimes people don't like when I say that the deficit of the Greek school is covered by the dollars of the yayas that sit in the pews, but that's the truth. And therefore, those are not two different entities, but one organism. I received two texts last week. One sent me an article attached to the text about Santa versus Christ. And this person said to me, after reading this article, I will make sure that my children prioritize and Christ is the most important thing in their life. Because we all go to meet Santa somewhere, right? When the time comes. We drive all the way to Cape Cod or to Gloucester or to Western Massachusetts where we find a good Santa program. But sometimes our priorities are in the wrong place and we don't go to church on Christmas because the second text told me, well, God is everywhere, isn't He? Why do I have to go to church? I can be in my house and God is with me. Yes, that is true, but that is a deformed ideology. And it's the reflection of the first sin that humans committed. Which is what? God was in the Garden of Eden. He was everywhere. Adam and Eve could hear His footsteps. They could talk to Him. But there was a time when God was absent from the life of Adam and Eve. Although they were in the same garden, God was present in the Garden of Eden. God wasn't absent. God is never absent. God is always there. The question is, are you there? And that's the first question God asked Adam and Eve after they fell in the garden. Where are you? Now the question is not whether God is with us, whether God is here or elsewhere or somewhere else in the world, in the house, in our basement, in our attic. That's not the question. The question is, where are we? Are we in the presence of God? Are we looking at God with open eyes and saying, I am here, Lord? So that was the second text I received. Unfortunately, I can't, text people back because it translates things incorrectly when you email people about things. But I was glad about the first text, saying that now I will make sure that I raise my children in the presence of God. That for them, Christ is the most important thing. So today our children will come here to present to us Christ. Not in a conventional way, it's not the pageant, but it's a beautiful way of doing it. I want to share with you a little bit about the gospel before they come. The gospel reading is today kind of long, and to some people it may be boring, because we're going through the list of the patriarchs of Israel. Who needs them? Do you need them? Do you care about them? It doesn't matter? It does matter. It matters in many, many ways. The most important thing is that our faith is not an abstract faith. It's not spiritual but not religious. It's not something that fell off the sky. It's not something you saw on TV by some, movie star presenting it to you. It's the faith of our fathers. It's the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's the faith that was revealed from generation to generation. It was handed down to us. And that comes with a privilege that we are the recipients of a faith that has been kept from generation to generation. And it comes with a responsibility that we are in the same chain link. Above us are the patriarchs, beneath us are children, that we need to receive it and hand it down. That's what tradition means. It doesn't mean that we used to do coffee hour this way, now we're going to do this way. It doesn't mean that we had pews in the church, now we don't have them. Or we didn't have pews, now we have them. That's not a tradition. Tradition is when the faith is handed down from generation to generation. It's the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And in this case, Matthew wants to make sure to his fellow Israelites that this is not an abstract faith. Christ didn't come from nowhere. He didn't descend from heaven. He did ascend to heaven, but he did not descend. He came from generations of Abraham, the way he was promised to come. Sometimes people ask this unreasonable question. Why did Jesus have to be born from a virgin? Why didn't he just come down from heaven and just show up to us? Then we would say that he is an alien, right? But he came from a human mother. Number one, that he's not an abstract revelation. Number two, that he took our sinful nature from a human mother. And that's the second reason why we have the genealogy. Because in the genealogy, we don't have only saints and prophets, but we have also sinners. We have Rahab, who was a prostitute. We have David, who sent his general to the military, to the front line, to be killed so that he can take his wife. We have that woman who tempted David to become his wife. We have also righteous people, which means that God was not born from a pure genealogy, but he was born from a variety of people of genealogy, which means that he's the God of the sinners and he's the God of the righteous. And in fact, he came for the sinners, not for the righteous. That's a funny expression to make, because there aren't really righteous people. All of us are sinners. Go home and look in the mirror. You will see all your sins. And that God is our God. God is with us because we need him. If we were righteous, we wouldn't need him. And the third reason is that he comes from David, from the generations of David, and he comes from Abraham, and he comes from Adam. In today's genealogy, we don't find that he comes from Adam. But St. Luke goes all the way back to Adam and tells us that Jesus came from Adam. What does Adam mean? It means, in Hebrew, the word is not Adam, it's Adamah, which means human. God created humanity. And Christ took human flesh. So he comes from the first human. Which means that he did not come for one nation only. He did not come for one tribe of Israel. He did not come for the Greeks, for the Armenians, only for the Syrians or Egyptians. He came for all of humanity. The humanity is us. Above all, we are humans. And he came for the humanity, and he pointed out that chain link that I just mentioned to you. Within the chain link of humanity, we're somewhere. Above us are the patriarchs, and beneath us are children in the chain link. They're not beneath us, they're just in the chain link. That we are the people who follow the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We practice our faith here, and we pass it down to our children, as we have done today as a witness. They will come and sing for us and show their faith.
Good morning. This year, our Sunday school students have learned about God's love for the world He made, gone on a journey toward faith, discovered ancient prophecies fulfilled in the New Testament, and come to know the treasures of the Bible as they reveal Christ, the Son of God Most High. Today, we wanted to share with our community some of these treasures of the Bible as we look into the past to understand the inconceivable gift of eternal God given to us in the birth of Christ. Come travel with us on the road to Bethlehem, paved by the words of the Old Testament prophets, and hear the story of Messiah's birth through the voices of the animals who were there. Each passage we will share with you is taken from the children's lessons in preparation for Christmas.
Καλημέρα σε όλους. Οι μαθητές του κατηχητικού σχολείου μας φέτος μαθαίνουν για την αγάπη του Θεού προς όλη τη δημιουργία Του. Ταυτόχρονα οι μαθητές μας κάνανε ένα ταξίδι πίστεως και ανακάλυψαν ότι οι αρχαίες προφητείες εκπληρώθηκαν στην Καινή Διαθήκη και έτσι γνώρισαν τους θησαυρούς της βίβλου καθώς αποκαλύπτουν τον Χριστό, τον Υιό του ύψιστου Θεού. Σήμερα λοιπόν θέλουμε να μοιραστούμε μαζί με όλη την ενορία μας μερικούς από αυτούς τους θησαυρούς της βίβλου, καθώς κοιτάμε προς το παρελθόν για να κατανοήσουμε το ασύλληπτο δώρο που μας έδωσε ο αιώνιος Θεός μας με τη γέννηση του Χριστού. Ελάτε να ταξιδέψετε μαζί μας, μαζί με τα παιδιά μας, στο δρόμο προς τη Βιθλεέμ, όπως αυτός χαράκτηκε από τα λόγια των προφητών της Παλαιάς Διαθήκης, και να ακούσουμε την ιστορία της γέννησης του Μεσσία μας μέσα από τις φωνές των ζώων που ήταν εκεί. Τα κείμενα που θα μοιραστούμε μαζί σας είναι παρμένα από τα μαθήματα των παιδιών κατά την προετοιμασία τους για τα Χριστούγεννα.
In our high goal group, we learned that throughout history, mankind has searched for wisdom and truth. This search finds its fulfillment in the person of Christ, as we read in St. John 1:1-3, 14 of the New Testament. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God, and all things were made through Him, and with Him nothing was made that has been made. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us.
Στην ανωτέρη τάξη του κατοικητικού μας, το γκρουπ των υψηλών στοχών, μάθαμε ότι σε όλη την ιστορία η ανθρωπότητα ανέξιτα την σοφία και την αλήθεια. Η αναζήτηση αυτή βρίσκει την εκπληρώση της στο πρόσωπο του Χριστού, όπως διαβάζουμε στο κάτω Ιωάννη Ευαγγέλιο κεφάλαιο. Αρχικά υπήρχε ο Λόγος και ο Λόγος υπήρχε με το Θεό και Θεός ήταν ο Λόγος. Αρχικά αυτός υπήρχε με το Θεό. Και πάντα μέσω αυτού δημιουργήθηκαν και από όλα τα δημιουργήματα ούτε ένα δημιουργήθηκε χωρίς αυτόν. Και ο Λόγος ενσαρκώθηκε και κατοίκησε ανάμεσα μας.
In our joy group, we talked about how prophets point us to Christ and learned that Isaiah the prophet, who spoke the truth, saw the day of the birth of Christ centuries before, when he declared, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this.
Στη μεσαία τάξη του κατηχητικού μας, το γκρουπ που λέμε της Χαράς, μιλήσαμε για το πώς οι προφήτες μας οδηγούν προς τον Χριστό και μάθαμε ότι ο προφήτης Ισαΐας που μίλησε για την αλήθεια είδε την ημέρα της γέννησης του Χριστού πριν από αιώνας όταν δήλωσε «Επειδή παιδί γεννήθηκε σε μας, γιος δόθηκε σε μας και η εξουσία θα είναι πάνω στους ώμους του και θα κληθεί θαυμαστός, σύμβουλος, ύψιστος Θεός, πατέρας του μέλλοντα αιώνα, άρχοντας ειρήνης. Στο μεγαλείο της εξουσίας του και της ειρήνης δεν θα υπάρχει τέλος. Θα βασιλέψει στο θρόνο του Δαβίδ και πάνω στη βασιλεία του για να τη στερεώσει και να την καθιερώσει, με κρίση και δικαιοσύνη από τώρα και για πάντα. Ο ζήλος του Κυρίου Παντοκράτορα θα το εκτελέσει.
In our Hope group, we learned that the world is a wonderful creation of God and that God is a loving Father and cares for all his creatures. As we talked about the birth of Christ, we are reminded from the book of Job, chapter 12, verses 7 through 10, that all creation gives praise to the Creator. Job writes, "But ask the animals and they will teach you, or the birds in the sky and they will tell you, or speak to the earth and it will teach you, or let the fish in the sea inform you. Which of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every creature and the breath of all mankind." Στην πρώτη τάξη του κατηχητικού μας, το γκρουπ της Ελπίδας, μάθαμε ότι ο κόσμος είναι ένα υπέροχο δημιούργημα του Θεού και ότι ο Θεός είναι ένας στοργικός πατέρας και νοιάζεται για όλα τα πλάσματά Του. Καθώς μιλούσαμε για τη γέννηση του Χριστού, υπενθυμίσαμε στα παιδιά από το βιβλίο του Ιώβ, κεφάλαιο 12, στίχοι 7 μέχρι 10, ότι όλη η δημιουργία δοξάζει τον Δημιουργό. Γράφει ο Ιώβ, ωστόσο ρώτησε τα ζώα, θα σε διδάξουν. Ρώτησε τα πουλιά και θα σου πούν. Μίλα στη γη και θα σου δώσει μάθημα. Της θάλασσας τα ψάρια θα σου διηγηθούν. Ποιο από όλα αυτά δεν ξέρει πως το πλάσε το χέρι του Θεού? Στο χέρι Του είναι η ζωή, κάθε πλάσματος ζωντανού και κάθε ανθρώπου η πνοή προέρχεται από Αυτόν.
always the kids' favorite part. Many thanks to everyone who made this beautiful presentation possible, especially our blessed children. You guys were amazing. And the children have brought some gifts to baby Jesus. As you know, we're doing the non-perishable food items. And so now they are going to place their gifts in front of the Axion Estin.
Ευχαριστούμε όλους όσους έκαναν αυτή την όμορφη γιορτή πραγματικότητα, ιδιαίτερα τα ευλογήμενα παιδιά μας. Τα παιδιά έχουν φέρει μερικά δώρα για τον μικρό Χριστό και θα τα τοποθετήσουν τώρα μπροστά στο Axion Estin.
One of the most important truths of our Christian faith is it impossible to love God if we do not love our brother and sister. The children are leading us in the path of love, both by the non-perishable food items they have gathered and placed in front of the Axion Estin, which will be donated to the local food bank, as well as by collecting funds to provide farm animals and other important basic necessities to those who do not have them. An amazing matching grant has been made available until the end of the month that will double all donations made to Heifer Farm. Last year, our community was able to write a $500 check to support this critical work. This year, the children have challenged us to raise double that amount, which will be matched and become $2,000 worth of good where it is needed most. Contributions can be made at the office. Please be sure to labor them for Heifer Farm. If you have brought a gift for the food bank, we invite you to follow the children's footsteps and leave it in front of the Axion Estin on your way to coffee hour. There is also a collection box outside of the office. Thank you for your open-hearted generosity that will improve so many lives. From all of us in the Sunday School, we wish you a Merry and blessed Holy Christmas.
Μια από τις πιο σημαντικές αλήθειες της χριστιανικής μας πίστης είναι ότι είναι αδύνατο να αγαπήσουμε τον Θεό αν δεν αγαπάμε τον συνάνθρωπό μας. Τα παιδιά μας οδηγούν στο μονοπάτι της αγάπης τόσο με τα τρόφιμα που έχουν συγκεντρώσει και τοποθετήσει μπροστά στο Axion Estin, τα οποία θα δωρήσουν σε τοπικούς οργανισμούς που οργανώνουν συσίτια, όσο επίσης και με τη συλλογή χρηματικών δωρεών για την παροχή ζώων, φάρμας και άλλων σημαντικών ειδών πρώτης ανάγκης για όσους τα χρειάζονται. Έως το τέλος του Δεκεμβρίου έχει διατεθεί μια καταπληκτική επιχορήγηση που θα διαπλασιάσει όλες τις δωρεές που θα γίνουν στη φάρμα Heifer. Πέρυσι η κοινότητα μας μπόρεσε να συγκεντρώσει $500 για να υποστηρίξει αυτό το σημαντικό έργο. Φέτος τα παιδιά μας προκαλούν να συγκεντρώσουμε το διπλάσιο ποσό, το οποίο μετά θα διπλασιαστεί από δωρητές και θα γίνει $2,000 για να δοθεί εκεί που υπάρχει μεγαλύτερη ανάγκη. Οι χρηματικές δωρεές για αυτό το σκοπό μπορούν να δοθούν στο γραφείο της Εκκλησίας μας. Απλώς γράψτε ότι είναι για τη φάρμα Heifer. Αν έχετε φέρει ένα δώρο για την τράπεζα τροφίμων, σας προσκαλούμε να ακολουθήσετε τα βήματα των παιδιών και να τα αφήσετε μπροστά στο Axion Estin. Υπάρχει επίσης μέρος έξω από το γραφείο για να αφήσετε ό,τι τρόφιμα έχετε φέρει ή θα φέρετε. Σας ευχαριστούμε για την ανοιχτόκαρδη γενεοδορία σας που θα βελτιώσει τόσες πολλές ζωές. Εκ μέρους του κατηχητικού σχολείου μας, καλά και ευλογημένα τα Άγια Χριστούγεννα και του χρόνου.
Thank you, everybody. As I always have said, when we give gifts to God, God doesn't need our gifts. He takes those gifts, He blesses them, and He returns them to us. This morning in the chapel, one of the children questioned the concept of Santa, and I had a hard time of trying to cover up and say, no, that's okay, whatever, but in reality, the gifts come from us. We give each other gifts. God gives us the gift of health, wealth, abundantly, and then we share amongst ourselves. When the children brought the gifts to baby Jesus, like in the story of Anthony Bloom, baby Jesus doesn't need dry goods or canned goods. He's going to take that and give it to those who need it, the least of his brethren, those who are hungry. And that's how we feed Christ. We feed his brothers and sisters. And in return, however, Christ blesses us with his gifts. In France, there used to be a church where in the middle of the church there was a statue of Christ. And that statue had no hands. The hands were cut off. And it always provoked a question when somebody came in, why doesn't that statue have hands? And that was the purpose, so that people can ask a question and the priest would say, you are the hands of Christ. That's why the statue has no hands. So today Christ is giving our children gifts back. And our PTO is the hands of Christ. And they prepared those gifts for the children. Please come forward now before the Andidro, receive your gifts. Thank you. And the PTO has also prepared coffee hour. Please come upstairs and enjoy it.